Hey guys, my name is Ryn and welcome back to my channel. Today I have for you the PLUMBOB farm and maze. I'm actually really excited to share this one with you guys. I have to be honest, I'm not really big on like Halloween, and so I didn't really want to do a Halloween build, but I do love this season. I love fall and everything that comes with it, including corn mazes. So this is kind of my interpretation of a corn maze in the shape of a plumbob. And in the maze, you will see there's lavender, sunflowers, corn, or something that kind of looks like corn stalks that I found in some of the live edit stuff. But anyway, why don't I just, show you the placement of them, and we'll get back to that later. Okay, I hope you didn't think that we would be on the corn at that pace for the rest of the video, but I just wanted to throw something a little fun in there for you. But yeah, let's just say it took me a while to place all of those stalks of corn everywhere. And yeah, I knew that the vision would come together, but my goodness, did that take forever. And here's the fun fact I have to tell you about. So you'll see that at times we certainly jump around the build, and that's because I'm starting to be more discerning about what I record for videos and what I don't record for videos. So there have been times in the past where videos just had way too many hours of footage that honestly did not need to be sped up as much as they were, and I got comments that it was quite dizzying. So what I'm trying to do now is record the parts that I feel are the most important. And if there's any kind of design stuff that I may be figuring out, I will turn off the recording and figure that out, because sometimes a design flaw, a design problem, a design hurdle can't be figured out quickly. And so when you're recording and you leave that in there, sometimes one, you either forget to go back and edit that out, or you can't find it in the recording to edit out, so therefore you can't edit it out. And I just wanted to completely ignore that struggle, and that is why there are moments where you'll see, like, the thing I wanted to show the most, I think, in this build was the placement of the corn. It's a corn maze. That's the whole idea of it. So I wanted to show that whole process along all the lines and everything like that. But eventually you'll see that I add sunflowers as well. And I didn't want to add the placement of the sunflowers because essentially it's the exact same process as placing the corn stalks, just sunflowers. So it felt extremely redundant, and so you won't be seeing that. But again, I'm trying to practice some discernment here so that you guys aren't spinning in circles trying to watch the sped up footage of a speed build. So I hope that this works for you. I feel like it's working for me. So, we're figuring out a good compromise here between what is actually visually amazing to look at. Well, amazing. I guess I'm giving myself a really big pat on the back. But visually more satisfying to watch, versus, how many details do we keep in on the build. Yeah, so again, you'll all of a sudden see sunflowers pop up, and you'll see kind of jump scenes to different parts of the build at any given time. So I have to explain, I guess, a bit of why this build took me a lot longer than I anticipated. So I really wanted the Sims to be able to come to this lot and actually, with you, the player, playing with the Sim, I wanted you, the player, to be able to put the Sim at the beginning end of the maze, click on where they should end up, and have the Sim automatically just go through the maze seamlessly without a hitch. Okay, I had a lot of hitches like a lot of hitches. What I found out was that the Sims don't like to travel through some of the plants. And because of the size of the sunflowers and the size of the corn stalks, essentially the Sim was seeing the actual size of them, like the squares. So like sunflowers are like a 2 by 2 on the squares. So the Sim was seeing that even though technically the sunflowers were not in the way, because the 2 by 2 square was overlapping their path, they could not pass. So I had to go back and move a lot of flowers around. But I think it actually helped. You'll see like on the perimeter of the maze, like there are a lot more lavender plants, and that's the reason for that was so that it could move the sunflowers out to give more room for the Sims to walk. And I've play tested it and it actually worked. I'm so thrilled about that because that was such a huge thing for me to make sure that anyone who plays this, there aren't any hitches in gameplay and that it's a usable lot. I mean, what's the point of it if you can't have your Sim go through the maze? You know what I mean? I didn't want it to be difficult. So, got that done. Awesome, great. And we got to go on with more of the decorating. So again, essentially what this is a working small farm where the centerpiece is the maze, but where families can come and enjoy a fall day and including coming into this refurbished, renovated old barn and enjoy the fireplace, enjoy reading some books. They can unwind in there. The bathrooms are in the barn as well. This also functions as kind of like a real working farm to where people can purchase flowers, pumpkins. They can even carve pumpkins at the shop that you guys will see later. They can enjoy a barbecue, and there's also a produce stand. So I really just wanted to give this a real feel of a family-friendly local farm. And when I was growing up, there was a farm like this near where I lived. It was just on the outskirts of the city I grew up in. And it was always so much fun in the fall because we would go there and they had these horse-drawn carriage rides, like you're sitting on hay on these trailers, right? And the horses pull you through the farm. You get to go explore. They had different kind of, like people would take pumpkins and have, they would create like people out of the pumpkin. So the pumpkin would be like the head, and then they would maybe do a scarecrow body or something like that. And you have a bunch of those kind of displayed around the property, which was really cool. They also had honey sticks, which, so good. So good. And of course, in the fall, they had a huge pumpkin patch. And so we would go every year and pick our pumpkins and take them home and do whatever we wanted with them, whether that be turn them into jack-o'-lanterns or just have them simply put out in the front. Or paint them, So this really stems from a really lovely childhood memory that I have of growing up in the town. And again, because I know people, I don't ever mean to offend people with this, but I don't like Halloween. So I really wasn't feeling like ooh, spooky mansion or haunted house or ooh, creepy crawly dark. Ugh. I wanted cozy. I'm like, I get it. Halloween can be really fun. Dressing up can be fun. Getting into that spirit can be fun. But I am so much more personally a cozy person that I was like, nah, for me, I want to do a family farm with the maze and something that's very approachable and nostalgic in a sense, So that's what I went with. And I wanted it to be very pretty as well. So that's why I think with the lavender and the sunflowers that you'll see just kind of put everywhere, it just adds a whole nother layer of beauty to this build that I think really translates well. So that's a lot of the build. Right now what you're seeing on the screen is this is sort of the shack little market or like little store that's at the front end of the property. And I knew I wanted pumpkins. I mean, come on, it's fall, you have to have pumpkins, right? So lots of pumpkins. And then I went to Build By and essentially got all of the sunflower arrangements and all of the any arrangements with sunflowers in lavender that would make sense in this space. I picked those out, and I think there were only 3 flower arrangements that were appropriate for what I was going for, and we have those quote unquote for sale too in the general store. So just really wanted to make this colorful fall wonderland that, again, your Sims can bring a date to or bring their families to and have a wonderful day. Eventually what you'll see too in the back of the property is a kind of, if you exited out of this yellow door from the general store, you just go straight back, and that's where the produce stand is, as well as some barbecue barrels and 3 picnic tables underneath some trees out in the back. And so families can come and have lunch. They could make their own lunch, they could buy produce and grill the produce on the barbecue as well if they feel inclined to do so. So yeah, and there's also in the very front of the property opposite of this general store is a little ticket booth. So trying to make it as like authentic as possible while not like constraining the property too much, in the sense of like putting up too many fences and things that compete with visually the maze. So I hope I explained that right. I feel like words are difficult right now. Yeah, so you know, I'll be honest with you guys. I feel like a lot of times when people, and myself included, do their voiceover recordings for their builds, we ramble. You know, we ramble till we can't ramble no more, and there's nothing wrong with that. I guess it's just more of an observation to me now, and I think sometimes what happens is little nuggets of pure thought get injected into these speed builds, and you would never imagine that. I mean, they're speed builds, you know, it's a video game, but here we are becoming the most philosophical people on the internet. But there's kind of a beauty to all of those ideas and reflections being hidden within the innocence of a Sims 4 speed build. But something that I've been really thinking about lately is the idea of creativity and what it takes to be creative, and how can you cultivate it genuinely. And I was watching an interview with Brene Brown, and she wrote a book. She's written many books, but the particular one I'm thinking of is called Daring Greatly, and I started reading Daring Greatly. And a big proponent to being a creative, I'm learning, is vulnerability. And vulnerability is one of the hardest things for me, because vulnerability has always felt like a weak thing, a weak quality. But I'm starting to learn that vulnerability is actually one of the things that makes us all human. It makes what being a human is, and that is experiencing emotions, experiencing those moments of being uncomfortable, but in turn then experiencing a moment of growth within yourself. And something that I have been really kind of pondering over, especially when it comes to being a content creator, and it's like, how do you be creative, and how do you come up with the next big idea, or how do you come up with speed builds that don't just look like a dime a dozen. And it all stems from being vulnerable. And I have been so resistant to that idea for such a long time. But in my in this current era of my life, I want to start becoming more vulnerable. And what vulnerability? I'm not talking the kind of vulnerability where you just spill your guts out at any given moment. That's not vulnerability. It's really just coming to the table of life and presenting who you are, you know, and what your ideas are and what your life experience is, and sharing that without fear. Well, you might have fear, but without feeling that like that's a bad thing to do. And so I'm striving right now to try and be more vulnerable, because I'll be honest with you guys, I'm just feeling so creatively stuck. This is true both in this space and on Twitch, where I stream regularly. And my big question is, how do I get out of that? And while it's both an easy and a simple, it's both a simple and a hard answer, and that is to be vulnerable, to figure out what it is I'm trying to say about my life experience and how that relates to others and to the world around me. How do you know, how, but like it's so that there's your simple answer, but the difficulty is in daring to actually do it and daring to actually push yourself into ideas and situations that you feel uncomfortable in, not because it's, you know, something you're doing that is bad, but because it's something you're doing that's unfamiliar, that's uncharted territory in your life. That's what I'm really wanting to do. And it's so flippin' hard. It is so hard. But right now, I mean, there couldn't have been better timing. And this may seem a bit out of the blue, but I have, how many of you, let me know in the comments down below, how many of you are watching the Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star documentary about Shane Dawson's controversy palette and how that palette is coming to fruition? I tell you, watching the evolution of Shane Dawson in this documentary is so fascinating and inspiring to me, because at the beginning he was like, he never knew his worth. And I'm not talking dollars and cents. I'm talking about just him as a creative, as a human, his worth. And to see the vibrations within himself, like the creative vibrations starting to reveal themselves in the process of creating a makeup palette. It's one of the most beautiful transformations I've ever seen somebody experience. And I don't even know him. I don't know Shane personally. I don't know Jeffree personally. But just to witness somebody coming out of their shell and really putting on the table, like, these are my ideas, this is what I bring by being me, this is my vision and who I am. I have been so inspired by that, more than I ever imagined I would be. So yeah, share down below if you've seen that documentary. They're almost wrapping it up. I think when I'm recording this voiceover, they're actually going to be releasing the last episode, or at least the palette reveal episode. So yeah. So anyway, that was a lot, but you know, I want to keep trying. I'm going to keep pushing myself to be creative and be outside my own box. I'm really tired of being comfortable, and I'm really bored of social media and of the game that is like comparing myself to others, which is a whole nother topic. But I'm ready to be reinvigorated by something else, you know, just something else. I don't know what, but that's half the fun, is in exploring new ideas, being inspired by others, and really digging deep within yourself to be like, what the hell am I here for? Why am I here? What is my story? And what can I share with others? And that's been a real big thing for me to think about lately. So thank you for letting me, dump all of that on you. I hope that's fine. If not, well, maybe one day it will be fine. But yeah, so that's what I've been chewing on lately. So thank you for listening. Back to this build. One important thing that I want to tell you guys about this build is that in order for your Sims to access this, when you are facing the property from the street, have your Sims start on the right side gate. and then click on the rug that is on the left hand gate. So the gate to the left on the other side. And what you'll want to do though is go into build by mode and remove the gate from the right hand side so that your sim will actually go through the maze. Otherwise they will leave the maze, go around front, go through the shop, and then go in the backside to the end of the maze. And so that was the only foolproof way I could get around that. But I'll show you in pictures what I mean as well towards the end here as we creep towards the picture segment of the video. But again, it needs, yeah, I couldn't get around that. The Sims just want to take their own way and pave their own path, and sometimes you just have to force them to do something via containment in build by mode. So yeah, just a quick move of the gate on the right hand side will help them get to the left hand side of the maze without trying to sneakily cheat their way by going outside of the maze and around the front. So again, I will show you that again in pictures and in a video after the picture segment is done. So hang tight, pictures are coming. Thank you for listening. I'll see you after the photos. All right, you guys, this is the part I was talking about. Just go into build by, make sure that testing cheats are on and BB moved objects are on. Take the gate, move it off of the fence so that your sim is enclosed in the maze. Then just click on the rug opposite of this start point so that your sim can head that direction without going the cheat route. And here our sim will do it now. But guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're enjoying the channel, please subscribe. You can also find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and the Sims 4 gallery, all RynAsInWin. You'll also find this build there too. Guys, the internet is a very busy place, so I'm honored you chose to spend some time with me here today. I love y'all very much. See you next time. Bye for now.